Hi, Astro friends. I'm back. Melanie's back with more Astro weather on April 1st. And this time it's about the month of April because April is the most packed and impactful month of the whole year of 2024. Why is that so? You already heard some of it in the previous video just for this coming week, but there's so much more going on in April, and for sure, I gotta talk again about the eclipse. So everybody is all excited, all horrified, all anxious, all ambiguous about this upcoming total solar eclipse over North America or Central North America, starting from Mexico, going up to Texas, going up through some US states and to the East Coast, including super close to Washington and also in Canada, Ottawa, Toronto, Niagara Falls, and then the Maritimes. So the eclipse path will be very popular, very significant in terms of locations, and also the path will be wider than the last American eclipse in 2017 due to the fact that the moon is closer to the sun. The moon is closer to the earth this time, and at the same time the sun is also at solar maximum, so lots of flares, lots of coronal mass ejections, so we feel a lot this whole solar weather, and it might make some of us quite exhausted, in fact. But then on the other hand, Aries is also very exciting energy, it's adventurous energy, it's a heroic energy, a warrior energy, which wants to get activated, so much so not just the eclipse, but there's so much energy in Aries, and even more adding by the day, I should almost say, because currently there is the Sun in Aries, Chiron in Aries, North Node in Aries, and Mercury going retrograde as of today in Aries. That's already a handful. Then we have Venus going into Aries, also being in Aries for most of the month of April, witnessing these major events of April. And Venus will go into Aries on April 4th until April 29th. So Venus is the warrior goddess in Aries. She attracts us to being more forward, more direct, more outspoken, taking initiative, and taking action. So we are more attracted to that vibration, although Venus is known to be in exile in Aries, so not like in Libra, where everything is beautiful and harmonious and balanced. No, there's war going on, and Venus says, yeah, we gotta address this, right? So there's also all sorts of wars in terms of media, information, wars literally in the battlegrounds, wars in families, wars in relationships, wars everywhere. And how can we come out of this war zone into a better expression of Aries? I'm not saying immediately peace, but we want, with Chiron in Aries, which is catalyzed by the eclipse, we want to heal like with like, not with fighting, fire with fire. And it's not really funny actually, and to actually express Aries in a better way. And Aries energy is also very innocent, it's very childlike, right? It's the energy of spontaneity, authenticity, renewal. It's the energy of spring is starting. How can we learn from nature, right? Chiron often brings us back to nature, or anything is teaching us. There's medicine in everything. So there's medicine in the renewal of life. And we need a lot of renewal medicine here. And the total solar eclipse is also a seed eclipse. It also plants new seeds. Why is it a seed eclipse? Because it comes with a north node. So here you see the eclipse chart, the sun, the moon, the north node, and Chiron, and even Mercury retro nearby, even Venus in Aries, right? So there's a lot of renewal coming in, and would be wonderful to do a ceremony for that. Definitely, there are lots of ceremonies going on in the world for the eclipse. So don't get just into the eclipse hype in terms of seeing it and being anxious about that. That can be actually part of the release that we need to do now, which would be with Aries in combination with mid Aries being a Leo undertone. Could be all about, it's all about me. Do I see the eclipse or not? Right? But a narcissistic energy, it's actually about a renewal of life on earth and of our own spirit, and it especially of our own heart. So the Leo Aries energy is a very heart centered energy that is expressing our love in a genuine way. And bring it on, more of that. So, what else does April bring? On April 10th, 2 days after the eclipse, is the alignment of Saturn and Mars. So, in other words, Mars catches up with Saturn and passes Saturn. So, Saturn says to Mars during the eclipse, hey, watch for too much warrior energy or warfare energy going viral, going into chaos, right? That's also Pisces. And let's not spread things uncontrolled. We need to look at consequences, right? Saturn's always about cause and effect, karma, consequences of of chaos being omnipresent, right? What needs to be controlled here and restrained, right? Then, on the other hand, Mars passing Saturn, Saturn can be also an expression of fear, right? So if we are um, feeding into fear mode, especially being fed by the media with Pisces, then fear can be basically also responsible for all these chaotic collective events and ripple effects. Then Mars comes and passes Saturn and saying, well, we are now passing beyond, we're going beyond fear, we're going into courage, into true courage, into the courage to reconnect. That's also Mars in Pisces. The courage to change vibrations, to connect, rather than to buy into all these divisions, right? Even though everything and all is connected, that's the ultimate Pisces message. Then we have on April 20th, a real major event of April is the alignment of Jupiter and Uranus. They come together every 13 to 14 years, and also this time in March, in the month of April this year in Taurus, where they will align at 1920 degrees of Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2019 and will be there still until 2026, while Jupiter is in Taurus just since last year, since last Taurus season in May until end of May this year. So Jupiter enhances and magnifies all of this Uranian energy. Uranus energy is by nature very revolutionary, very disruptive, very surprising, sometimes shocking, sometimes liberating, right? So we want to again support the higher vibrations of Uranus. So how can we embody freedom? How can we embody also more a renewal? It's like Eckhart Tolle says in his book, a new earth, right? So being in a new earth body and contributing to the renewal of the earth rather than more disruption and destruction, right? And seeing how important with Jupiter, how valuable that is, how much the this has a big effect, right? So let's come together and renew our spirit with the Aries eclipse and come together and support the earth, support everything organic, biological, natural, right? Rather than all the technology takeover, right? And all the technocracy overshadowing nature and overshadowing our organic beingness, right? How can we use technology as needed but not be used by it, not be like having it replace or kind of intending to replace biology and intending to replace nature? That's not a good deal. It's kind of a Faustian deal with the Mephisto, right? So that goes then back to Pluto in Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, right? So Pluto in Aquarius is currently coming to its stationary phase because it will go retrograde early May. So this Pluto is also super important in terms of the bigger changes that are going on in society and through technology. It's an evolution, but it has a lot of shadow, it has a lot of extremes attached to it. So we need to call those out and come together in humanity. Also, scientists need to come together and channel that energy into a good direction for the future so that there is a future for humanity, right? Then, yes, so after April 20th, things slow down a bit. I show you here the alignment of April 20th, right? They're not exactly aligned. The Sun will be freshly in Taurus. Jupiter and Uranus will be exactly aligned. And then we have the full moon. The full moon on April 23rd, also early Aries, early Taurus and early Scorpio for the moon, early Taurus for the sun. It is energetically, astrologically, the Wesak moon, the Wesak moon of the Buddha. So typically, Buddhist cultures traditionally celebrate the birth, the enlightenment, and the passing into nirvana of the Buddha with the full moon in May. And that may happen this year again in the May full moon on May 21st or something. Look it up. On May 23rd, it will be. But that will be already Sagittarius Gemini. However, the Scorpio Taurus axis fits much better the themes of the Buddhist teachings, for me anyway, so, and other astrologers too. So we declare, so to say, the Scorpio Taurus full moon as the Wesak moon, whether it's in April or in May. And what does this full moon show? It shows here the moon in early Scorpio, the sun in early Taurus, of course, also catalyzing in Taurus the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that just would have happened just 3 days before. This is the 23rd, right? And so there's again, we need to go into the deeper, into the Scorpionic realm. Not only is there a full moon, by the way, but it's also in T-square with Pluto, right? So you can see the sun in Taurus, the moon in Scorpio, in T-square with Pluto stationary in early Aquarius. So again, having a lot to do, in my sense, with the juxtaposition of nature, Taurus, and the Scorpionic side can be, in combination with Pluto in Aquarius, can be technology, can be magic, so to say, but using tools to manipulate, to transform anything that has been organic and to maybe dominate it through control mechanisms or just to play with it to see, oh, what can we do, right? This is exciting. What AI can do nowadays, but it can backfire. The moon in Scorpio also shows us how we can be hurting ourselves with doing in this case, not just individually, but humanity, by doing something really powerful that we don't completely understand, and that can have a life of its own. That's very much Pluto in Aquarius. And Pluto will be this year almost fully already in Aquarius. Some people ask me, is it now already? Not quite, because it goes briefly back into Capricorn September 1st till November 19th. So interesting, right around the US, the last finish line, and finally the US elections. Pluto goes back into Capricorn, which brings me back to the US chart, which I haven't presented yet here, but it's also the US chart with the total solar eclipse over mostly the US is also super relevant to bring into the picture for the month of April. And yeah, so US has Pluto back end of Capricorn and will have the last phase of its Pluto return in the autumn season leading into the US elections. Whoa. Now, what's going on with the US regarding the eclipse? The eclipse in Aries will connect with the US Chiron. So the current Chiron for the eclipse, get that, will be at 1924 Aries, and the US Chiron is at 2009. So not even 1 degree away from its Chiron in Aries return. Chiron returns every 50 years. So the US will be 250 years almost, and 2026, and that's in 2 years. And so Chiron would have returned 4 times. Is it the 4th time or the 5th time? Okay. Anyway, it's the Pluto return year, and it's the Chiron return year as well. Doesn't happen very often at all in history. And with the eclipse activating the US Chiron. So what's with the US Chiron? The medicine of the first people in the 4th house, right? So what do the medicine people and wisdom carriers of the wisdom carriers, also Pluto in Capricorn, right, say about this eclipse? And how can it be healing? How can it be a renewal rather than more warfare? US history started with warfare, and there's been so much warfare, civil war, US wars coming out of the US being involved as allies, constant warfare. And so can this renewal, rather than being a massive more war exposure than the US is already experiencing lately, and then possibly also internally through the elections and what it entails, can there be a renewal? Can there be a renewal of its identity, the country's identity? Aries is a lot about identity and self, right? As a culture of renewal, leading the way, being a pioneer for a whole new approach, rather than doing the same old business as usual that only benefits the weapon industry. So how can there be a renewal? That's very much a Aries question, Aries healing question, and as we go individually into where it all started, right? With Aries Chiron, the early wounds, the wounds of when everything began in our lives, in our babyhood. The country also needs to go back to its origin, right? And where it all started, not only with Chiron, but also with Mercury retrograde. So this eclipse for the US also, and for Canada, also squares the US and Canadian sun in Cancer. So the Cancer sun is all about the spirit of the people and the spirit of home, right? So it's all about we are at home on Turtle Island, as the native people say, right? We're all on one big continent that has been so welcoming to so many cultures, right? How can we renew rather than divide? And I leave it with this because my voice is getting a little affected by so much talking today before the videos and now. So I need a break. That's a good sign for a closure of this April video. Hope you enjoy. Hope you renew yourself. And let's all contribute to a renewal of the spirit of humanity. Bye.